Hey everyone, welcome to the Seller Growth Podcast. And today I've got Mark Gonsalves from AccrueMe, one of the co-founders. How's it going, Mark?
I was just digging that music, Robbie. I was getting in the mood. Yeah, I'm doing great.
I know Mark is one of the co-founders of AccrueMe, which is awesome, and it's great to have him on. And today we're going to be talking about using Einstein's theory and mindset to grow your Amazon business. Now, this is going to be a really deep one, so you guys got to definitely tune in and listen carefully because there's some great hidden tips here as Mark goes. So Mark, obviously, let's kick this off. And why the fascination with Albert Einstein, and how'd you come up with this theory? Like, talk us through this.
Okay, I'm going to try to keep this at a 6th grade level. So I won't try. I promise not to go too deep because sometimes when people hear Einstein, they get a little intimidated. So, for those of you that have heard Einstein, right? That's now synonymous with genius. Albert Einstein, born in 1879. The reason why I kind of title it Einstein Theory and Mindset relative to Amazon, no pun intended, because he did come up with the theory of relativity. Because I think Amazon requires a different set of principles, a different concept, a different way of evaluating retail and commerce. I mean, it's no great secret. Amazon has somewhat rewritten the rules on selling and buying, and so I think it's important and it's appropriate to look at Albert Einstein and specifically in the terms of Amazon, right? So that's kind of how I came up with a fun way to a title, right? I thought, what would Albert Einstein do? What would he say? I mean, he was born in 1879, long before Jeff Bezos, launched Amazon. A brilliant man, brilliant mind, used his mind a lot differently, similar to the way Bezos, I think, started Amazon. And frankly, like a lot of our sellers that might be tuning in, when they first approached selling on Amazon, it was a not traditional brick and mortar. So it requires you to use, I think, different skill sets, connect different dots, think differently. So I think Einstein is synonymous with thinking differently.
Yeah, which reminds me of the old Apple theme, right? Apple, the Think Different posters, and they had Einstein on there. In fact, actually, I have that poster.
Yeah.
I was working there during that time frame back in the 90s, which was fun. And that's a great poster, which I love. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, I've got Mark from AccrueMe. He's one of the co-founders of AccrueMe. And obviously, we're talking about using Einstein's theory and mindset to grow your Amazon business. And be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, and hit that thumbs up. And if you have any questions, put it in the comment section. Mark would be more than happy to answer that. And we're going to go on, though. So, Mark, you're just talking about Einstein a little bit and giving a lot of background. So let's dive in. What is an Einstein mindset? Like, let's go deep into this.
Okay. So having an Einstein mindset, I mean, you mentioned Apple, so not planned, but what Steve Jobs did was disrupt an industry. And using an Einstein mindset, you really need to adopt kind of a disruptive way of evaluating how you're going to go to market. So specifically, adopting an Einstein mindset means you have to think differently. And one of the things Einstein said is the thinking that got you to where you are today will never solve the problem of tomorrow. And I want you to think about that for a minute, Robbie, because too often I think we get in our habits, right, of how we operate in our business. And Einstein himself said, listen, you're either growing or you're dying. You're either climbing or you're sliding. There's really no maintenance. So for those business owners out there who think, I'm just going to, maintain my sales or keep at a certain level, you will be irrelevant. You'll be out of business. And Amazon has proven that at a macro level by taking out a lot of brick and mortar stores and it's the old adage, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so Einstein, to really adopt an Einstein mindset in our Amazon business means we need to think differently, and it never stops. We're just continuing to grow and expand, right? So, I mean, I think that, I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, people sometimes, I think they just tell me the 10 things I need to do to use Einstein. And you could actually break it down, if you will, into certain principles, right? I mean, Einstein came up with, he called compound growth, right? He called compound growth the eighth wonder of the world. He or she who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And compounding is something that I know you know a lot about, because together we carry the AccrueMe flag, which kind of talks about how to leverage and compound your Amazon business. So I mean, there's just I think Einstein offers just a great opportunity for us to learn and apply a lot in our business, in our Amazon business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And once again, everybody, hit that like and subscribe, and welcome to the Seller Growth Podcast. I got Mark Gonsalves from AccrueMe. He's one of the co-founders of AccrueMe. And we're talking about using an Einstein theory and mindset to grow your Amazon business. So, Mark, with that said, we've given a good little background to everybody, and we want to keep them on here and keep them listening. Let's start applying this to, these Amazon sellers. They're all listening. They want to know, okay, hey, this is great information. I love it. But how do I apply what you're talking about in these theories directly to my business that'll help me?
Okay, that's kind of a softball question. It's easy. I would ask all the Amazon sellers that are tuning in to answer very honestly a very easy question. Are you maximizing and using leverage to your advantage to grow your Amazon business? And let me be specific. Everybody likes to play with metaphors. The easiest metaphor, Robbie, and I'll use you as my guinea pig. I'm going to give you two options. I'm going to go ahead and allow you. I'm going to give you $33,333 a day in net profit. I'm going to give you $333,333 a day in net profit for 30 days. That's option one. Option two is I'm going to give you a penny, but I'm going to double that penny every day for 30 days in net profit. So the first option, $33,333, direct deposited into your account. That's net of all Amazon fees, PPC, all that kind of stuff. That's your net. Or I'll give you a penny and I'll double that penny every day for the next. So first day, you're going to get a penny net. Second one, you're going to get 2 cents, 4 cents, 8 cents, 16 cents, 32 cents. You get it. So which option are you going to pick? And I know you already know the answer, Robbie, but what answer?
Let me get my calculator out again. Hold on.
Okay. Got to get your calculator out. Good for you.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with the penny. And I know most people probably would have gone with the $33,333, I think it was.
Well, Robbie, truthfully, $33,333.33 a day. That's $1 million in a month net, right? So if you could do that month after month after month, $1 million, you're at 12 million net in 1 year. I mean, most Amazon third-party sellers would be ecstatic, right? Yeah. However, the penny option, as you already know, the penny, it goes from what we call deceiving to disruptive. Because you're thinking, well, after a couple of days, I got $5, I've got $16. But by the 30th day, by the 30th doubling, you're over $10 million from a penny. And that's, why Einstein said compound growth is the eighth wonder of the world. So I would ask all the Amazon sellers out there, are you using leverage, specifically compounding in your business? If you're doing right now, if you're a $10,000 a month seller, or you're a $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 a month seller, are you going from 50 to 100, from 100 to 200, from 200 to 400? And if you're not, the question I have is, why not? What's preventing you from using what we would call an Einstein rate of return, right? Where you're maximizing leverage and ROI. And I think, obviously we have some solutions, and not to beat people up, but what most sellers would answer is, well, Mark, I lack, either the breadth of suppliers or the amount of, I need more product, and I need more capital to deploy to that product to create that leverage. And that's a valuable answer, and one that can be addressed. But specifically, that's something that we all can do. We can all use compounding in our Amazon business, because we all want more market share. We all want to grow and expand our business, and there's competition out there. So how can we dominate the competitors in our space?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would like to do is, everybody out in the audience, or if you're watching even after we've done this live, put in the comment section, would you have taken the 33,000? It sure sounded tempting. I have to say, it did sound tempting until Mark explains it. And I almost would have went that way. Luckily, I work at AccrueMe and I know that there's a better way to go. But how many of you would have took that? Leave a comment in the comment section. And then coming up next, I see the comments are coming in already. So coming up next, we are going to talk about, if Albert Einstein was alive in 2021, what would his view or approach on selling on Amazon be? And Mark's going to cover that in a second, but we've got a quick commercial break. Hang in there. All sellers are looking to grow their business. Why not take advantage of the AccrueMe.com Grow Now and Pay Later option? AccrueMe is not a bank. They truly only win when you win with growth capital funding. What are you waiting for? Head on over to AccrueMe.com now. Be sure to mention the podcast. Yeah, so when you head over to AccrueMe.com and fill out that free 3-minute estimate, be sure to mention the Seller Growth Podcast, or Rob, or Rob and Mark. Whatever you want to mention in there will work. And we'd be happy to take a look at that and try to get you some funding and help you grow your business. Did have a quick little comment come in. A big person, or somebody was mentioning AccrueMe is amazing. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm going to add Mark's amazing, because he is. And we're going to get right back to it. So Mark, if Albert Einstein was around in 2021 and he was selling on Amazon, what would his view or approach be to selling on Amazon?
Great question, Robbie. I wish I could chat with the late Albert Einstein and ask him that. My sense is, if knowing what I've read about Einstein and looking at the Amazon marketplace, I pulled some stats up from Marketplace Pulse, who just updated literally March of 2021. I think Einstein, if he was alive in 2021, current COVID, post-COVID, whatever, I think Einstein would be absolutely excited and ecstatic about the opportunity of selling on the Amazon platform. And the reason I say that is because there's I'm going to set this in perspective. And you know this, Robbie, because you, like I, have known about Amazon since its inception in 1994. There's over 150 million Prime subscribers. Think about that. 150 million Prime subscribers. Literally almost 50% of the entire population of the United States are Prime subscribers. 125.6 billion in sales in the fourth quarter of 2020. And Marketplace reports that there's only 1.9 million active third-party sellers selling on Amazon. So I think if Albert Einstein was around, he would be totally jazzed about the opportunity to leverage the opportunity. When I say leverage the opportunity, the fact that there's only 1.9 million with 150 million Prime subscribers, not including all the subscribers, with Amazon expanding worldwide in more countries. I think they opened up another 10 or 12 countries this year. It's the opportunity is massive, and Einstein, one of my favorite phrases or quotes from Albert Einstein was, "You got to learn from yesterday. You got to live for today. You got to live for today. You got to hope for tomorrow. But the important thing is not to stop questioning." And I think too often, we get to a certain level of growth, and then we like, I've learned everything I need to know. Amazon always keeps us on our toes, don't they? I mean, Robbie, they're changing the algorithms, they're changing the systems and the methods and what they do and how they evaluate and ads and positioning, et cetera. You have to, as the late Dr. Stephen Covey said, you have to continue to sharpen the saw. You're always learning, right? So I think Einstein would be pretty jazzed if he was in 2021. Pretty excited the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you. So once again, everybody, welcome back to the Soul Growth Podcast. I got Mark Gonsalves from AccrueMe, and we're talking about using the Einstein mindset, theory and mindset to grow your Amazon business. And we are getting specific. We are going to get pretty specific here. Just kind of an off topic for you though, Mark, and kind of curious if you knew about this. So one of the places Einstein used to visit quite a bit was the James Lick Observatory, which is out here in San Jose, California. And I actually grew up at the bottom of that mountain. It's pretty tall and it's really big and it's multiple mountains. But actually, as a kid, we went up there and we visited it with our school. So just a quick tidbit there. If you guys look into a little bit of history about Albert Einstein in San Jose, California, James Lick Observatory. So, but stay with us.
You're among giants. Your destiny was already set, Robbie. You were. Yeah.
Which, by the way, that James Lick Observatory overlooks Silicon Valley. So just so you know, but stay with us. We got more. So let's get into this. Don't go look that up yet. We got more facts and fun stuff coming up here. So let's get really specific on strategies and techniques that basically sellers can apply using the Einstein theory or mindset for their business. Okay,
so I think when you take a look at your what you're selling, right? Your selling mix, how broad your mix is from a diversification standpoint. Are you guilty of being a one trick pony? One product and running out of inventory, or just taking that one product and just beating it down to a point where what's your next option? And I think that, one of the things Einstein stressed is, use your imagination, right? His famous quote on imagination was, "Imagination's everything. It's the preview of life's coming attractions." So I'm curious, what do you imagine your Amazon business to be, or what did you want it to look like at 2021 and beyond? And I think we can all kind of look at our business and evaluate it and say, am I behind the curve, or am I, kind of a day late and a dollar short? How am I handling, some of my SKUs that I'm constantly running out of inventory? What processes do I have in place to make sure that I'm always relevant, and I'm not, always trying to play catch up? So I think, using kind of an Einstein approach, you're satisfied while you're going for the next piece, the next win. And who are you getting your advice from? I mean, sometimes this can be a pretty lonely business. Are you surrounding yourself with like-minded people who can give you some tough love and give you some advice? I know, myself and we have our own Amazon business, and we're always seeking out, mastermind groups and brainstorming. And Einstein was obviously a big proponent of that, gathering information from other smart people. I mean, little bit of trivia, but, Einstein had a 160 IQ, right? Near perfect. To set that in perspective, anybody that gets over a 135 is in the 99th percentile. That means literally the top 1%. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Sharon Stone, I mean, a lot of really smart people are, 135, 140. Einstein was 160. So they have something in common.
Dang, that's really crazy. Well, that's very interesting facts. And we got some more really cool stuff coming up. So hang in there. We got a quick commercial break. We'll come back and we're going to talk some more about Einstein theory and how you can apply it to you, helping you with your Amazon business and be successful.
This content is brought to you by AccrueMe, the business-friendly funding solution for Amazon sellers. If you're a profitable Amazon seller looking for capital to grow your profits, click the link around this video or visit AccrueMe.com for a no-risk funding estimate in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Seller Growth Podcast. I'm Rob Stanley, Chief Marketing Officer for AccrueMe. And today I've got Mark Gonsalves. He is actually co-founder of AccrueMe. And Mark and I work together all the time, and it's an absolute pleasure to have him on here with us. And so, Mark, actually, there was a question that came in. I'm going to have to probably paraphrase it a little bit. But basically, they were asking, you were just talking about how the IQ levels and everything. And they were basically asking, like, who in today's age would be comparable to an Einstein from back then? Like, I was kind of thinking in my head, like, Jeff Bezos or maybe even Elon Musk or even Steve Jobs. But what is your opinion on that and why?
Well, I mean, just as a point of measure, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they all scored 140 on 135, 145 on an IQ test. There's a lot of people, other people, men and women that are, let's say, have since passed away that are significantly older that were also pretty smart. But that group that you just mentioned, Robbie, I mean, they were using their mind at a totally different level. So not that IQ is everything, but I think when people look at an IQ of 160, they're sitting there going, that's pretty fascinating. There's, nuclear scientists and people. I mean, I graduated with a 2.001, so as a history major. So I'm definitely not in the top IQ chain, right?
I think that was 001 higher than me. So no, I was just like in my head, I was thinking Elon Musk. Like, there's times he comes up with these crazy things, and it's not always about actually doing them. It's kind of seems like it's more about what could come from learning to do it. Like, other things spin off of other ideas. And
I mean, SpaceX,
yeah.
Tesla, electric vehicles. Everyone told them it wouldn't. The thing about geniuses, right, is, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs might relate to this, is remember your family and friends when you first told them, I'm going to build a business selling on Amazon. Yeah, sure you are. Yeah, okay, that's great. I'm old enough to remember, Robbie, when you used to say, I'm an entrepreneur. Your family and friends used to say, oh, geez, that's too bad. Maybe he's going to find a line of work. Hopefully he'll get a job soon, right? They would have, but you take a look at a Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, Paul Allen, when they were first starting out, Jeff Bezos in his garage with $10,000 that, Daymond John, the power of broke, a guy that I had an opportunity to work with, the people shark. When you take a look at some of those men and women that started with the woman who came up with Spanx, going door to door. When you hear these stories, what it does is it kind of gives you a renewed sense that I'm on the right path. I'm in fact. One quick thing, and then I want to talk about some specific strategies. A journalist one time asked Einstein. He said, do you believe in luck, or do you believe in miracles? And Einstein was quoted. He goes, "Do I believe in miracles? Well, you should, because life is a big miracle. There are so many things that are beyond our understanding. There are two ways to live your life, he said. You can live your life as though if nothing is a miracle, or you can live your life as the other, that everything is a miracle. And I think there's a lot that we can dig into that, right? I mean, but you got to keep in mind, this is somebody from 1875. Einstein died in 1950, in the 1950s, 55, I think. So, this is somebody who didn't know modern, computers and technology that we now embrace, right? I mean, he was so forward and way ahead of his time. And I think we can learn a lot. I mean, we can use the past as a lesson in our Amazon business.
Yeah, I was reading this really interesting article the other day, and it was talking about light speed. And, if we got to light speed, how long it would still take to get to certain areas. Like, it'd take X amount of hours to get to the moon at light speed. It'd take X amount of hours to get to Mars. And then it started talking about other solar systems. And then it said to the edge of the universe. And this is where I kind of laughed a little, Mark. I was like, how do they know there is an edge of the universe? We don't know. They're just assuming. But it was pretty interesting. It was really forward thinking. So Mark is going to jump in here and talk. He was just saying a second ago, he's going to talk a little more deep on how to use these theories to help your business. Take it away, Mark.
Okay. So in the time that we have together, let's just take, our favorite Einstein theory of compound returns, right? So we did the little exercise, what do you want? $33,333 a day for 30 days. That's $1 million in net profit. Would you take that, or you take the penny? And of course, Robbie got it right by saying the penny. So how do you apply that for real in your Amazon business? So I don't mind a shameless plug for a method of leveraging your capital. And I'm not talking about a loan. See, that's the problem. When you start talking about leveraging capital, people think, oh, I'm just going to go out and borrow money and use that money to make more money and blah, blah, blah. And the problem with that is it violates Einstein's exponential return theory. You see, Einstein has an exponential return theory long before Amazon and long before we created this concept called AccrueMe. And what exponential growth is, real simple, is that your money has to make money for you. And the problem is, let's say right now you're doing $50,000 a month in gross sales, and you have I'm just making numbers up, hypothetical, because I don't have a whiteboard and I don't know your Amazon business. So let's just say you're doing $50,000 a month in gross sales, and maybe in Q4 you jump that up to 75 or 100,000 a month. But let's just say on average 50,000 a month, and let's say that after you pay your Amazon fees and net whatever, that you net out 10,000 a month. I'm just making numbers up. Maybe you're better, maybe you're worse, doesn't matter. So you're basically a 20% net profit at the end of the day, and that's what you're putting into your business. And you're sitting there going, well, this sounds great, Mark, but how am I going to get to be a 7 or 8 figure seller, right? I mean, you've read these stories. They're real. They exist. They're not miracles. It happens every day. There are Amazon sellers that are out there that are doing 7 to 8 figures. And you know what? Why not me? Why not now? Well, I absolutely agree. You should be a 7 to 8 figure seller. There's no excuse. You have the platform. You have the opportunity. There's billions of dollars being done. There's millions of buyers out there. You only have 1.9 million sellers. You should be. So what's it going to take? It's going to take capital. But what type of capital? Amazon, and specifically Einstein, would argue that with Amazon, you would be better served with growth capital versus taking on debt. The difference, real simple. If you take a loan from one of these popular, funding solutions or banks or anybody out there, they're going to require you to make monthly payments, which is going to drain your cash flow. I mean, let's face it. You're going to, you're making net 10,000, but if you're borrowing 50 or 100,000, you're going to have to pay monthly payments, which is going to drain cash flow, and it's going to prohibit what I would call rapid exponential growth. With other types of solutions, specifically capital growth solutions like AccrueMe, you would be able to double or triple your capital without monthly payments. I'll say that again, without monthly payments. And what that allows you to do is truly leverage and compound your growth. Very similar to the penny, except instead of a penny, let's do it 10, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 at a time. And what that does is it compresses time. Because if you don't have to make monthly payments, I'll just make it real simple. If you don't have to make monthly payments and there's no interest tied to the capital, then the capital is allowed to make more money. And then at the end of the day, most people say, well, okay, but if I'm getting capital, there has to be a payment attached. There is no payment attached. That's the beauty of growth capital. So if this is something that you're interested in, highly recommend, and I'm sure Robbie can provide a link or whatnot. You really do need to get more educated about growth capital, because that's the way Einstein would approach Amazon. He wouldn't be going out and getting, merchant bank or cash advances or inventory financing, because it violates Einstein's exponential law of return. And obviously you already know this, Robbie, because you carry the banner. So I don't know if
absolutely.
That helps.
Yeah. So what you could do is head on over to AccrueMe.com. There's a free 3-minute funding form, and there's no commitment. So don't think you're committing to anything when you fill out that free form. It takes about 3 minutes to do. Head on over to AccrueMe.com. But we do have a few more questions still for Mark. We do have to take a quick commercial break. Hit that like and subscribe, and also put some comments in the comment section. Mark will answer those questions for you while we go to this break.
This content is brought to you by AccrueMe, the business-friendly funding solution for Amazon sellers. If you're a profitable Amazon seller looking for capital to grow your profits, click the link around this video or visit AccrueMe.com for a no-risk funding estimate in less than 3 minutes.
So again, be sure when you head on.
I love those $100 bills, by the way. I love those $100 bills.
Thank you. I came up with that one. So if you do head on over to AccrueMe.com, be sure to mention the Seller Growth Podcast or Rob and Mark or something in that area, just so we can identify that you came from here, because we really do appreciate that, listening to Mark and obviously listening to me twice a week. So Mark, I did have a question came up actually, and they were kind of curious, like if Einstein was still around to this day and you were interviewing kind of like I do, what kind of questions would you ask him? Or maybe what question would you ask him?
Wow. I think I would ask Einstein with what's after Amazon? What comes after Amazon? Because Amazon is not necessarily the end game. I think I pulled up some interesting articles early on about what Barron's Magazine, what Forbes Magazine, what U.S. News and World Report and Business, what they all said about Jeff Bezos 5 years after he started. These were like 1999 vintage. And they all said, Robbie, Jeff Bezos he's a slick sales guy. He doesn't know anything about the stock market. Amazon is the worst place you could put your money in the form of an investment. I'm just laughing because I'm wondering, where are these journalists now? There's like no accountability after the fact. But Bezos was able to overcome all that negative press, if you will, and turn Amazon into $1 trillion enterprise, right? So I just wonder where those people are today. So I would ask Einstein, what's next? Like, what happens after Amazon? I think it's important to not, they say not judge a book by its cover. Amazon used to say, Einstein used to say, and I quote, "Everybody is a genius. Everybody's a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid." And when you think about that, it's brilliant, right? Because we would say, well, I'm going to judge a fish because we think we know what the fish does, and we might be shortchanging our opportunity. So I would ask Einstein, what's next? Well, what's after Amazon? We might want to follow Bezos to see what he's up to next.
Yeah, that's a good question. And let's face it. I mean, the reality is I started selling on eBay in 1998, and I thought eBay was it. Nobody's going to beat them. They had the market share. They had everything. And, at the same time, I was at Apple. Well, I think I just left Apple thinking that, wow, Apple's not doing so well. In the 90s, they didn't. Go look it up. Yep. It's history. They didn't do so well. Microsoft was beating them. And what a flip, right? All of a sudden, Amazon's now dominating over eBay. You got Apple over, Microsoft. And, things have changed. Things definitely changed. So where are we going to be 10, 20 years down the road? I mean, who knows? It'll definitely could change. Well, Mark, we could probably go on for another couple hours talking, but obviously we got to cut the show off. I'm going to leave. Go ahead with any last thought on the Einstein theory and how it relates to Amazon sellers, and then we'll probably wrap it up.
You know what? I thoroughly enjoyed this. Hope your viewers got some value out of it. Hopefully we can continue with a part 2 or part 3. I would basically leave everybody with my favorite Einstein quote, which is his formula for success. So this was Einstein's formula for success. If it's A equals X plus Y plus Z. So A equals X plus Y plus Z. If A is success in life, then A equals X plus Y plus Z. Work is X, Y is play, and Z is keeping your mouth shut.
I like that one. Well, if you want to know more about AccrueMe, go over to AccrueMe.com. If you want to know more about Mark, head on over to AccrueMe.com. We have a team page with everybody who's basically part of our powerhouse team. There's a few not listed yet, but we'll get them on there. And you can read all about Mark's background and my background and where we both come from. And there's definitely a lot of talent on the AccrueMe team. But again, head over there to mainly fill out that free 3-minute funding estimate over there on AccrueMe. Make sure to mention the Seller Growth Podcast. Mark, it was absolutely a pleasure having you on finally. I mean, we got to talk in all the meetings, but finally getting you on the podcast has been great, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Robbie. Have a blessed day.
Thanks, everyone.